It started as an ordinary day for millions of travelers. Planes took off, passengers buckled in, and no one suspected a crisis was quietly unfolding. The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, released a report that sent shockwaves through the aviation world. The subject, a critical flaw in the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. This wasn't headline news, it was a technical bulletin, easy to miss, unless you knew what to look for. The report described a fatal flaw, words echoed by engineers who reviewed the data. This wasn't about a minor inconvenience, it was about the very structure of the plane. The skin of the aircraft, the barrier between passengers and the deadly environment at 35,000 feet, could be compromised. The flaw could lead to catastrophic failure, the kind no one survives. Yet the public heard almost nothing. Flights continued, tickets sold, the world kept moving. Why wasn't this everywhere? Why was such a critical safety issue so quietly announced? The FAA's findings pointed to a risk that could affect hundreds of planes and millions of passengers. The technical language, delamination, structural integrity, masked a terrifying reality. The Dreamliner's very bones might be weaker than anyone realized. This isn't about a broken tray table. It's about whether the plane can survive the pressures of flight. The FAA's quiet warning forces us to ask, are we being kept in the dark about the risks we face? The discovery is a testament to the diligence of a few, but the muted release is a cause for concern. It's a reminder that the systems we trust aren't perfect. Sometimes the biggest dangers are the ones no one is talking about. Why is that? Have a seat. Let's talk about what the FAA found and what it means for everyone who steps onto a plane. The story is bigger than you think, and it's only just beginning. So, what's the flaw? Let's break it down. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner is built from carbon fiber composites, not traditional aluminum. This material is lighter and stronger, at least in theory. The problem is where these composite sections are joined. FAA investigators found microscopic gaps, smaller than a human hair, between layers and key structural joints. Over time, the stress of flight causes these layers to separate, a process called delamination. Think of plywood peeling apart after getting wet. At first it's minor, but with enough stress the whole board can fail. In an airplane this means the protective shell, the fuselage, could weaken. A weak spot in the fuselage is a ticking time bomb. If it fails at altitude, the result could be explosive decompression and catastrophic loss of the aircraft. The flaw isn't isolated. The FAA found it in multiple sections along the fuselage. This points to a systemic manufacturing issue, not just a one-off mistake. Fixing it isn't as simple as swapping out a part. It's about the very skeleton of the plane. Hundreds of Dreamliners could be affected. The question isn't just, is this plane safe? It's, how many planes have this flaw? The answer could change the future of air travel. This is a problem that can't be ignored, and it's one that demands urgent action. Let's be clear, this isn't a hypothetical risk. Imagine you're 6 hours into a transatlantic flight, cruising at 39,000 feet. Outside it's minus 60 degrees. Inside you're comfortable, until the structure protecting you fails. Delamination happens silently, invisible to the naked eye. Every flight, the fuselage expands and contracts, stressing those microscopic gaps. Over thousands of cycles the material weakens. If it gives way, the result is explosive decompression. Air rushes out, oxygen masks drop, pilots dive for breathable air. But if the structural failure damages controls or tears off a section of the plane, recovery may be impossible. This is the nightmare scenario, a routine flight turned disaster in seconds. Pilots have seconds to react, but training can't prepare them for a plane coming apart mid-air. For passengers, it's sheer terror. The FAA's discovery isn't just a maintenance issue, it's a fundamental question of safety. Hundreds of Dreamliners are flying right now. Each one is a gamble until this flaw is addressed. The risk is real, and the clock is ticking. What will it take to fix it? How did such a critical flaw go undetected for years? The Dreamliner's composite structure, once hailed as revolutionary, is notoriously hard to inspect. Standard tests couldn't spot these tiny gaps. It took whistleblowers and persistent FAA engineers to push for deeper investigation. New scanning technology finally revealed the widespread problem. The flaw had been there all along, invisible to old inspection methods. Was it missed during certification? Did Boeing and the FAA rush innovation at the expense of safety? The answer appears to be yes. Sometimes the drive to be first blinds us to what matters most, getting it right. When the flaw was revealed, Boeing and the FAA scrambled to respond. Boeing halted deliveries of new Dreamliners and promised to fix the issue. The FAA issued a directive: airlines must inspect their 787 fleets using new methods. But critics say this isn't enough. Why not ground every plane until it's checked? The answer: grounding hundreds of jets would disrupt global travel and cost billions. Boeing's reputation, already battered by the 737 MAX crisis, is on the line. The FAA faces tough questions about its oversight. Carefully crafted press releases try to manage the narrative. But the public wants the truth. Are these planes safe? The stakes are enormous. For Boeing, the FAA, and everyone who flies, accountability is demanded, trust is on the line, and the world is watching. Pilots are the last line of defense, and they're worried. They train for emergencies, but not for a plane coming apart mid-air. Pilots' unions are demanding transparency from Boeing and the FAA. They want to know which planes are safe and which aren't. Every strange noise or vibration now carries new weight. For passengers, most haven't heard the news, but those who have are anxious. Should you check your aircraft type before flying? Should you avoid the 787? Airlines publicly reassure customers, but behind the scenes, they're pressuring Boeing for answers. They can't afford to ground their fleets, but they can't ignore the risk. The trust between pilots, airlines, and manufacturers is shaken. Passengers expect safety, not uncertainty. Airlines are caught in the middle, balancing public confidence with operational chaos. The flaw has created a crisis of trust. And it's not just about one plane, it's about the entire system. When trust erodes, everyone feels it. The industry is on edge, and the world is watching closely. This isn't Boeing's first crisis. The 737 MAX disasters killed 346 people and exposed deep flaws in Boeing's culture. A software issue, hidden from pilots, led to tragedy. Investigations revealed a company prioritizing speed and profit over safety. The FAA's cozy relationship with Boeing allowed self-certification, and mistakes slipped through. Boeing promised change, new leadership, billions in fines, a renewed focus on safety. But now, the 787 flaw raises the same questions. Whistleblowers warned about production quality for years. Has anything really changed? Boeing was once the gold standard in aviation. Now its reputation is tarnished. The pattern is clear: safety warnings ignored, problems downplayed, trust eroded. The Dreamliner flaw isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a disturbing trend. The world is watching to see if Boeing and the FAA can break the cycle. The stakes couldn't be higher, lives depend on it, and history will judge what happens next. For airlines, the Dreamliner flaw is a logistical nightmare. These planes are the backbone of long-haul routes. Inspections require specialized equipment and take planes out of service for weeks. Canceled flights, angry customers, and lost revenue follow. Airlines must juggle safety directives, public relations, and operational chaos. They're forced to trust Boeing's fixes and hope passengers don't lose confidence. Legal battles with Boeing are inevitable. The costs are staggering, and the damage to airline brands could last for years. Airlines sell safety and reliability. If passengers doubt either, they'll fly elsewhere. The ripple effect of this flaw is global. It disrupts schedules, damages reputations, and costs billions. All because of a hidden manufacturing defect. The industry is scrambling to adapt, and the fallout is far from over. So, can we trust Boeing, the FAA, and the airlines? The 787 flaw, so soon after the 737 MAX tragedy, raises serious doubts. Whistleblowers were ignored. Regulators missed the warning signs. When the truth came out, the response was muted, not urgent. This isn't just about one plane, it's about a system that failed to protect the public. Trust is the foundation of aviation safety. When it cracks, everyone feels it. The question now, have the right lessons been learned, or are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes? Your safety may depend on the answer,